And I want to thank Scott again for presenting this evening and talking about Indian Peaks. So thank you again, Scott. A couple of things really quick. As a reminder, October is elections for board members. So you know, if anybody that would like to run for a position or like to talk to the board about running for position, please let me know. I'm going to run again for president, but I don't mind any friendly competition as well. And then as far as I know, I don't know how the other board members currently where they stand. I think Don had mentioned a couple of times if you'd like to run for treasurer, he'd be more than happy to give that up. Otherwise, he'll keep doing it for us. But think about it, let people know. One thing to remind you, though, is if you do run, you do have to be a paid member of the club. So make sure your dues are in. We got another Steve on to join us. So I think we almost got all. We have another Steve.
Two more.
Oh, no, he just moved. He moved to the bottom. Okay. I thought there was another Steve that came on. Okay. So if you'd like to, or if you want more information about board membership positions, you can come talk to any board members. Be more than happy to do so. This weekend is the kids triathlon in Longmont. I know Dick, I think, was still looking for a couple of volunteers. So if you'd like to volunteer for that, get a hold of Dick. I do want to thank, there's quite a few folks that helped with the takedown this weekend. We had a silent key. We went over and cleaned his stuff up and pulled it out, and it's all sitting in my garage now, and it's on a spreadsheet that I sent out to members. And Scott, you guys will be getting a copy of it too here soon, because I want to send to non-members here as well in the next couple of days. But we have a silent key that's got basically a state sale going on and has some really cool equipment. So anybody that's looking for any equipment up there, let me know. I've got a bunch of stuff in my garage for sale. So he had 7 antennas on the roof, or no, 6 antennas on the roof, a dipole on the side of the house. He had some things in the attic. I think he's got 4 or 5 HF rigs, a couple of UHF, VHF rigs. So it was a lot of work. And those that were there, thank you very much for all the help. I appreciate it. It was a lot of work, and we got it done. And I know Mary, the niece, is very happy that we participated to help get that cleaned up for her. So I know Jerry, Doug probably knows
his equipment. His equipment was well cared for.
Yes,
there shouldn't be any scratches or mars or
no, just a little bit of dust because he hasn't been playing. Of course, he passed away, I guess, in 2015, and Nancy wasn't playing with it, so it just kind of sat there for like 5-6 years. So yes, the stuff's in good shape. Just a little bit of dust. We powered everything on. It all comes on. It works. He does have a Mac that I'm trying to get working. But yeah, he's got a lot of good stuff, and it was Paul really took care of his equipment, and everything was wired and grounded properly. I mean, it was just a beautiful site. One thing I haven't put on a spreadsheet yet, and I got to put a picture of it, is he has a solar system with 4 batteries that they will also want to sell. So if you're looking for it's not a portable, this is a permanent one. If you're looking for a solar system, I think he's got 2 panels on there and 4 batteries. And pretty much he ran all of his equipment off of the batteries. None of his equipment was plugged into the wall. It was all done through batteries. So there was no, you didn't have to worry about that type of interference and stuff. So it was a really cool setup. But I was impressed. I was like, this is a ham shack. I just wish I had time to build mine like that. The other thing is we do have a bunch of events coming up the next month. In September 10th, there's the Ned race up in Nederland. So if you'd like to help out with that, the information's on the website. There's also an HF Hamlet class that NCART's putting on the 10th up in Fort Collins. And then we're also doing a fox hunt on the 10th. So we've got some good events coming on. I might talk to Ed about rescheduling our fox hunt, but we'll see. But we're gonna try to do more fox hunts and things like that. So it should be a lot of fun, and there's a lot of events going on. The 17th of September, we've been invited to Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club's picnic up in Fort Collins again. So if you'd like to come and do that and join them, it's a great time. They barbecue. Lots of socializing, meet new people. It's a lot of fun. Trying to think if there's anything else going on. October, there's a couple of it. Oh, the first weekend in October is the Rocky Mountain ARL Division Conference up in Cheyenne. So if you'd like to come up to that, it's actually there's events going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Most of the stuff's happening Saturday with the booths and stuff like that, and club selling equipment. I am going to try to get a table for us for LARC. So if you'd like to come up and help run that for a little bit, we'd appreciate it. I will not be able to run it as I am a forum speaker up there. So I'll be doing a talk on Saturday, along with I think 10 or 11 other speakers as well. So it should be a good time. Come on up to Cheyenne for the day if you like, and it should be a blast. And we're hoping to get a lot of people up there. Other than that, I don't think I got anything else other than, again, get on the nets, come join us. Oh, October, that was the other one. October, hang on, I just had it, I closed it. There's another event in October that I want to talk about that people might be interested in. October 15th. Is that right? 15th? Yep, October 15th. October 15th is, I guess that's Jamboree on the Air for the Boy Scouts and all the scouts. Weld Amateur Radio Service is doing radios in a, I think it's a turkey farm out in Weld County here, I think in LaSalle, and they're looking for people to help volunteer to support the event. They're looking for people to help get on the radios, get the kids on the radios and things like that. It's October 15th. I believe it's going to run from about something like, I think 8 o'clock in the morning till probably 3 or 4 in the afternoon. If you want to spend the night out there and camp out, you're more than welcome. We just need to let them know. We can camp out there as well. But they're going to do some stuff on Friday night, but most of the activity is Saturday. And that's when they're looking for some hams to help out, get on the radios and get the kids on the air and doing some CW and talking and things like that. So if you're interested, let me know. I'll be posting that on our calendar as well. They're looking for volunteers to help with that.
This coming Saturday is the North
Yep.
America QSO party.
Yep.
And the whole world's trying to talk to North America. It's a great opportunity.
Yep. So get on the air and look for that as well. That should be a lot of fun. I'm going to hopefully get on for that this weekend between everything else I'm doing.
There's also the Bark Fest has been announced, and that's going to happen on October 2nd, first Sunday of October.
Thank you, Jerry. And we'll see about maybe getting a table there for that as well, Jerry. So for Mark, and help support you guys over at Bark as well. Steve, do you have anything as far as public relations media?
No, I'm going to work with Scott here, trying to put together the ARRL club column.
Okay.
Right, we talked about that in the board, and I want to pick Scott's brain there as far as how we can put this article together between both clubs.
Okay. Talk to him. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to talk to you. All right, Mike, you got anything?
Nothing at this time. Just keep your eye out on the calendar. Keep up to date with what's happening.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Chuck, I think Kat's going to put the splatter together soon. I don't know if she's posted. If we got to post it on the.
It's not posted yet. I haven't seen it. She might be a little bit late on it. They're down in Houston right now.
Oh, that's right.
She's actually in, where's she at? Oh, she's in San Antonio. She's somewhere down southern Texas. And then Brian's in Houston right now. So at least that's where he was on Tuesday night. So I don't know where he's at today. Because he joined the net last night from Houston. So everybody should mark that on their books when they make a contact. They talk to Brian when he's down there. Just like what I did when I joined the Thursday night at that time from Canada, right, Jerry?
Yep, I remember.
I did that on purpose so people could get that contact that they wanted. So Over echoing still counts. So, all right. Well, further ado, Scott, W0SJE, I'm going to turn it over to you, sir, and the floor is yours. And thank you again for presenting this evening.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for the opportunity. You know, the Nederland Club, and I joined just really a couple, let's see, about 2 years ago. And what we frequently get is comments where we go to some of these events, Swap Fest, and we put up our banner, and somebody comes by and always says, "I didn't know there was a club up there. I didn't know that." So we're trying to get the word out a little bit better, and hopefully we've got a few activities that'll help with that. So I'll go ahead and share. I have some charts. It's mostly pictures. I don't want you to scare you with the number of charts, but it's mostly pictures. And then a couple of videos that our friend Ramon shot for us. And I'll show a couple of those abbreviated. So let me hit this. How's that look to everybody?
Okay, you're on it's showing the presenters page and not the presentation. So,
Oh, okay. Let's see if we can.
you probably have multiple screens.
How's that?
There we go. That's the
Okay.
full screen.
Good. Okay, so yeah, we're up in Nederland, and the club has been around for a while. I've been a member for just a couple of years, and I will just talk to you about some of our recent activities we've been doing and what we've been up to. And let's make this work. Okay, so we have a club room currently up at the Nederland Community Center. If anybody has been up there, it's a pretty nice community center. We are in a portion of it that used to be a school and is scheduled to be torn down sometime. They keep threatening, but for right now, we have that spot. We're not sure what's going to happen if they do end up renovating that. Well, actually, they're just going to scrape it. But for right now, we do have a room in there. We share with the food pantry. We have some equipment and a space we can operate. I'm sure many of you know Charlie K4NYN. He's our club president. I'm the vice president. Jesse is our treasurer. John Adler is our trustee. We are losing our secretary, who is Diane, and she is taking another job in Seattle, and we will be getting somebody else in that office soon. And actually, John will be moving on, so we'll need another trustee. So a little bit of shuffling in the officer position, as most clubs. We're pretty small, maybe 30 members on the roster, and you know how that goes, about half of that active people, and then, you know, maybe another half, 10 or so members or a few more that really we see frequently at our events. We have another email list we send out to what we call the friends, and people can see what we're doing and make it, you know, if they decide they want to get involved, they certainly could. We meet Mondays, fourth Monday of the month, and we are meeting both virtually and in person at the NED Community Center. And I know Ramon's come up, and certainly welcome to anybody there who would like to stop by. So for this year, and actually the last couple of years, we've been pretty busy, and I think for a small club, we've been having a lot of things going on. We had a lot of equipment in the club room that really needed to be purged, sold, something. And I'm sure you know, people, silent keys, donations, and you end up with a lot of stuff that you just don't know what to do with. And so we did take advantage of several of the Swap Fest this year. Very successful, a lot of work, but we were able to make some room in there. We supported several events. Frozen Dead Guy Days, which was March 20th, big event up in Nederland that we helped with the communication on that. Of course, we had Field Day last June, and I'm going to talk more detail and show some pictures about these. Ned Gravel Race, we supported for the first time this year. This was actually only the second year of the race, and we provided communications for that. And that was pretty challenging north and south of Ned. And there were quite a few riders, in the hundreds of riders that day. And we did I think a pretty decent job providing links and medical assistance and other supply support for the folks involved in that race. You guys mentioned the Ned. We did that last year. That was on September 11th. This year it's on the 10th. I'll talk about that. One of our big activities that we're really, really excited about is the new repeater, the W0NED repeater, which is currently on the air, but not in a very good location. And it is in our club room at the community center, which from a radio standpoint is not particularly advantageous, but we've been able to kind of wring out the equipment, make sure everything is working. But we're now in process of moving that to the CU Mountain Research Station, which is up about 10,000 feet. And that's going on right now. And I'll show some stuff around that. We do have our weekly nets Mondays at 7 on Airlink. And so if you would like to join us anytime, if you can hit Airlink on 14691, would be happy to have you on. We have an interesting topic every Monday. So I'll talk a little bit about some of the events here that we've been involved in. We started out in January at the Northern Colorado ARC Winter Ham Fest and took a lot of equipment up there. You can see from the table there, and there was some actually very good equipment, and it wasn't all just boat anchors, and there was certainly some of that, but there was some very good test equipment that we were able to sell to some folks, and I think they were really appreciative. And so we had our banner up there, and this is one of those places where we get the comment about the, you guys really have a club up there. So we had great participation from club members. We were still masked up then, of course, and sold a lot of stuff. So this is just some more shots from that, and of course the big money table there, and the group that we had, Diane, and there's Charlie, my wife Debbie, who's KF0IAJ. She just got her license, and I think it was at that Hamfest, wasn't it, in January? Maybe it wasn't at that one, but she got it at one of them. And then Jesse, who's our treasurer. In February, maybe that's where she got it. She did the VE testing and got her tech license, which was huge. We went to the Adams County Fairgrounds for the ARA Swap Fest, and very similar, not quite as much equipment. We had gotten rid of a lot of it at the previous one, but we're able to get rid of some more, and very successful on that, and having some club exposure certainly did help us.
Was that Chuck?
He was there. I don't know if he's in these
That you in the
pictures.
left-hand picture there, Chuck? With the hat?
I don't think so, but well, I don't know.
Oh, looks like your hat.
Oh, yeah, you know what? That is me.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
That is me.
There he is. So
Yeah, I
mutual
support him
club
any way I can.
support. Yeah. So that was really fun. By that time, we'd finished kind of with our swapping of equipment, and we went out to LARC Fest in April. And at that time, we were really just kind of in club support mode. And so we had some members come up. We did a little repeater raffle. We had a radio that we raffled off, and that was really, really good. Went to the repeater fund, and that was fun exposure. And there's a couple of our members there, Rob and my wife, Debbie, KF0IAJ. Frozen Dead Guy Days in March, that was the 20th. Actually, the weather was pretty good for that this year. And it was a little bit of an oddball support, but we did I think we did a pretty good job. We conducted the whole thing from our club room at the community center there in Nederland with the usual emergency traffic passing as needed. We did all of the traffic handling on VHF radios that were provided by event organizers, and then the public service radios that we have in the club. So we were just relaying traffic in that mode. So we sent messages to Public Works as needed. There were a couple of incidents that needed to be addressed. We had the Colorado Rangers out supporting. The Nederland Police Department is currently challenged with help. And so they were really hard pressed to cover this thing. And it was pretty big event. I don't know if any of you guys went up there. This was the event map. So it was all in the centered around the field there, music, races going on, various vendors. It was all in a very compact area, and it was a bit of a mess actually. They had the polar plunge, all these other things, and things occasionally would get out of hand with people, but that's the nature of the beast, sort of. So we did, I think, a pretty good job with our skills, with our ham radio skills and traffic handling skills. Not everything was, and there was a very detailed plan provided before the event, but not everything was followed per the plan. Guess what? So we had to really adapt to several ways of operating with the event radios, with the channels they were using. Some medical issues did come up. It was a huge event. We went down there just for a little while, and it was kind of like I said on here, a muddy mess. There was still a lot of moisture, and they had hail over the place and mud. And honestly, I'm not sure what they're going to do next year up there. There's a lot of questions about the hosting situation, but that's not for me to say. But if they want us to support, we'll certainly be there. In June, we did field day, and we had a really good time. Last year, we hosted up here where I live in the Bark Ranch, which is past Jamestown about 4 miles. And we hosted a private property, and it was a little bit far north for some of our members. So we went to another site down by Central City this year called Columbine Campground. And if you're on the Peak to Peak Highway 119, coming out of Black Hawk, it's just north of Black Hawk, and you'll see a turnoff for it. And so we brought our RV up there. We were Class A, 3A. So we had 3 transmitters. Here's the location here. And you can see here's down here, here's 119. And from where you turn off 119 down Apex Valley, it's about 6 miles out to the campground. There's another access here that goes into Central City, but I didn't take our RV down there. So it was a pretty remote location, a lot of ATV activity out there, but and we didn't have any amenities at all, really. We had no electricity, water, or anything, but that's what field day is all about, adapting to the situation. So we did. The weather last year was really not great up here. It rained, it was cold, kind of disappointing. This year was a little bit better. So this is Friday night, getting set up, and that actually ended up being about the best weather of the weekend. And you can see Charlie there. We had a little picnic, setting up antennas. On the left there was one of our attempts at a satellite contact, but we weren't successful. I don't think that satellite was there when we did it. And we had our club members here happily posing, Diane in the middle who's leaving, my wife Debbie on the right, and Charlie's partner there on the left, Amanda. So we had a great time throwing bags up into the trees and stringing wires and all the usual fun ham radio stuff, and put the banners on the camper, and just had a great time despite the weather. And I don't know what you guys experienced, but we found band conditions really bad this year. You have any comment on that? Anybody that you guys did field day?
I was doing QRP up on Rabbit Mountain, and I only got a fraction of the contacts I did from last year.
And that was our experience too. And it was kind of frustrating, but that's the way it goes. And I don't know if there was a solar event or what, but we just couldn't pull them in. Didn't have nearly the contacts that we had last year. We did better on bonus points. So it kind of washed out a little bit in terms of overall score, but I'd rather do a bunch of contacts personally. So
I think we ended up like 234 contacts, and we were in a park. We were at the Boulder Fairgrounds at the park next to it. They got a big gazebo there, and that's where we held our field day this year. So it's totally outside. They had a little bit of sprinkles about 1 or 2 in the morning, but other than that, it was beautiful down here.
yeah. And what was your class?
4A.
4A, okay. So yeah, I'm not sure we made that. We may have been just under that. But last year we were several hundred contacts and sorry, much better. Charlie was set up outside. He did mostly 40 meters and he did great. And he got his 2 sons on the air who were kind of lukewarm about ham radio, and they stayed till 10 o'clock that night operating. So they really enjoyed it. It was super fun. I brought my Flex, and that was fun. We did some digital, some sideband, and even despite the band conditions, it was still kind of cool to bring that along. And over here we did have a generator. I made a little enclosure for it to kind of keep the weather off of it, keep the sound down. And that actually worked pretty good. Ran that thing the whole time except at night. And then we had a safety officer, that's my wife Debbie, and she made sure we were safe. And we sure were. And we collected those bonus points. So that was fun.
Yeah. We missed out on some of those bonus points that lessons learned for next year.
Yeah, those are, sometime we're going to get that W1AW bulletin. I don't know. We tried to get it this year. We just couldn't pull it out. I don't know, some year. And actually, given conditions, we did all right with the contact map. We got all around pretty good. We didn't get anybody in Colorado, unbelievably, and a few other states there that we didn't get into. But considering the challenge and the band conditions and whatever else, it wasn't too bad. So again, the weather wasn't ideal, a little better. Yeah, we got up Monday morning and we stayed an extra day, and that was beautiful, of course. 6 meters, I think there were 2 contacts on 6 meters. We didn't do digital on that, but George did that, and I think he got a couple contacts. We kept having this signal, and I was on the Flex radio and having this signal just completely obliterate everything. I'm like, where are these guys? We had another special event station just on the other side of the campground where we were, K0W. And so we went over there and compared notes with those guys, and didn't end up being a big deal with interference or anything, but it was kind of funny where we thought we were in this remote location and there was another special event going on right next to us. So that's the way that goes sometimes. Yeah. So that was field day. And then shortly after, we had the Ned gravel race, and that was on July 9th. And this was a pretty interesting support. We were approached by the organizers of the race. Last year, they had some issues, were not able to get cell phone service in many of these areas. And as I'm sure you guys know up here, and some real incidents happened, and they really had to, go to people's houses and such to make calls. And so they approached us to provide communications for it. And so we agreed to do that. I went out and scoped out the course for several weeks prior to make sure that we could find some repeaters or simplex or something that was going to support us, because some of these locations were very challenging. So there were some aid stations. They asked us to report back to net when first rider was in, last rider, and I believe we heard numbers of like 800 riders total on the entire course. And there were different courses, but the total event was like 800 riders. Usual stuff, emergency communication. We selected the Thoradin repeater 448-225, which did great. That's got that voting receiver on it, one on Thoradin and one on SQUA. and that worked really well. We used Airlink as a backup, and then we ended up doing a relay with Simplex anyway, because there was one spot that there's just no repeater coverage. So this is the race course, and it was pretty extensive, and you can see the scale of the map there. And I kind of divided it up between north of Ned and south of Ned, up to Ward around that area, and then down towards Blackhawk. And these people are hardcore riders, the people who are really into the big course. We found a lot of people who I think came up to the mountain area, and it was warm that day, not prepared for what they were going to get into with this environment, which was part of the support. So this was the tough one. If you guys are familiar with 4 Mile Canyon, just past Gold Hill here. And so here's Gold Hill, and you come down 4 Mile Canyon, and this is a radio spot to be feared. And I knew this was going to be trouble when I went down there. So our proposal was originally to have a station up here at Mount Alto, Matt, KD0PYK. We ended up having another race station up here, Rick, KK0COP, to provide a simplex relay down there. And that worked reasonably well. And I don't know really what else we could have done differently, but we were able to get messages in and out of that canyon. That was our biggest challenge. But we seemed to cover it okay. The south part of the course, this part wrapped up pretty much by the morning, and then the upper part of that course was into the afternoon. So we had to stay for most of the day. So the racers came down, left Nederland this way down Rollinsville, Tolan Road, down here, Apex Valley, back up, and then circled around back up this way towards Nederland. So we had Ramon up here, and I'll show a video here in a minute of some of he had a amazing, beautiful location he was at, and hit the repeater just fine with his HT. And we really appreciate his support. Apex Valley, which was by the Gilpin Ambulance Authority here, they had an aid station he supported. We had Rob and Jesse, Gamble Gulch, and then we had Charlie driving in his truck, roving around various places, and he ended up going up north on the later part of the race to provide coverage. So I had net control set up down in Nederland. Luckily, it was a beautiful day. We did have a tent cover. And this is just some scenes of some of the racing going on there in Ned. And it was a pretty big event. They had music, vendors, all the usual fun stuff. It was a pretty well-attended race. I'm not sure. I'm sure they had more attendees than last year. So it was really, really fun. So the sunset spot, which was where we had that canyon, we knew that was going to be a challenge. It was. We covered it. We had people who were, the riders all had placards, and they were wanting us to kind of sometimes give counts of riders, or even look for specific riders, which we had to do a couple of times. Some people just joined in the race and just raced. And so they didn't have placards. They were just kind of doing it for fun. So the counts were kind of hard. And as I mentioned, a lot of the riders went up, didn't have enough water, got too hot, ended up pushing their bikes, requesting rides, which was not a minor thing. And people this is the kind of stuff why we communicated to the event staff that there are folks out here who they're done and they need a ride home or something. So I think we covered that pretty well. And the Switzerland Trail, I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with that. It's a nightmare if you're riding a bike, flat tires galore. They ran out of tire tubes up there, and they really had to cover for that, bring up more supplies. And we were requested to get more water up there, more snacks or whatever. And that's why we were there. So I will show you guys, let me get this going here. Let me get this video happening. Hold on a second. Oh, I've lost my interface here. Stand by just a second.
It looks like the gates of hell out there in Africa someplace.
What are you looking at?
You're
We see a
welcome.
fire coming out. of the
Oh,
ground.
this picture. Oh, that's my background. That's my background screen. That is actually
Not your backyard.
back. Yeah, yeah, right. That's actually the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii on the Big Island, and that was I went there and took that shot at night one time. Somehow I've
That is
lost.
one brave tree. I don't know how it lasted.
Yeah. I am just trying to get the other screen back here. Hang on just a second. Okay, where's the, I've lost the stupid the share thing. Where is
So
that?
we must be looking at your desktop as far as a selection. So maybe you have to unshare and come back in.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that. For some reason, I've lost that.
Go into view options, you'll see, you can, I think you can choose to see your meeting bar and should bring it back up.
Can you, are you able to unshare me, Chuck? Because I can't find the stupid button all of a sudden.
Stop the video for you. Did I stop your video or did I stop you?
Just stop the share so I can get back to, I'm not sure why I can't.
Well, let me go ahead and I'll just remove you as co-host.
There we
and
go.
I'll-
That's it. You
and
got it.
I'll bring you back as a co-host.
Okay. I'm going to,
There you go.
okay. Let me see if I can get this video shared. All right.
Don't mind.
Okay.
Oh, I stopped my video.
Okay.
There we go.
Are you able to see that?
Yep.
Okay. Let me see if I can start this. You got it?
Yep.
Accordingly. No one is really expected to count riders unless you're at an aid station. You can just note the first riders and last riders, but you don't need to count them. The course has started. That started from here in Nederland, south, and along Tolman Road. It is heading towards the Mammoth Gulf checkpoint. We renamed the checkpoint down in Campanula Cape, a little easier to say. And
I had 10 riders pass me. This is going to be 11 and 12. And it looks like there's a pickup truck over there and a photographer taking pictures. How awesome is this? All right, we have 38 riders so far. This person coming is getting 39. You wouldn't believe how incredibly hard it is to count. There's only 48 riders on the ultra course, but it's difficult to think about the number that I'm on and then to add the number of riders that are coming up and then wonder if I'm screwing it up. So I'm trying to keep count here, but hopefully I'm accurate. All right, there's a medic on a Okay. Yeah, so the medic on the electric bike just went by. Not sure what this is. Where are you? Oh, are you at Turkey? You're at Turkey. All right, now we are down at net control. This is where all the magic happens. Oh yeah.
Has advised that they are addressing the medical issue, but
Rick's on his way up there. So that we really appreciate that. Ramon put that together. You know, I'm sure you guys know he just put that together, and it was great just to have that documentation of what he did. So we really, really appreciate that. So I'll
He enjoys
continue
doing it.
here. Let me get going back in the presentation mode.
What gorgeous weather and scenery, though.
It really, really was. We went up there and it was still a little bit iffy with the weather. But by the time the race happened, everything was good. The weather was wonderful, and it was just a great day up here at altitude, even though it was a little bit warm. So, all right. So that was the Ned gravel race. Ned, we had back in September of last year. They have a half marathon, a 10K, and a 5K, and we supported that. And even though our repeater was down at the community center, it covered the area enough that we were able to use it, and that worked out real well. Had some checkpoints set up, and we have the race coming up here just in a few weeks on the 10th. Chuck mentioned that. We'll have checkpoints where the blue dots are here, a couple of other optional places, but we'll be covering, I think I'll be at the community center, I'm not sure. And the question is, will the repeater be at the MRS or will the repeater be at the community center? Either way, we'll probably end up using it. So that'll be coming up also. And so that'll just kind of segue into the repeater progress, which is has been quite a trek for the club. It's our club call, W0NED. These are the frequencies, 449, 125, and it's a 141.3 tone. That's the equipment, and currently it's located at the Ned Community Center. So this is a map of where we're moving to. This is where we're at now at the community center. If you go up Peak to Peak Highway, you'll see a turnoff for the Mountain Research Station, which is the CU facility that we have negotiated sharing of land and equipment and part of a tower. And that's where we're going to be moving to, almost 10,000 feet. Should fill in a real big hole up a lot on this Peak to Peak Highway and provide some coverage into the communities up here. And I'm sure there will be some keyholes down below that folks can take advantage of. And so we looked at this from a lot of perspectives to say, what are we going to do with this repeater? Where are we going to start? Where might we go with it? And you can see some of these obvious advantages. The elevation is going to be great when you're up there and you look around. It's a fantastic radio location. Give folks with HTs or whatever the ability to communicate a wider area. We can cross-link, do some other things, and all the other support, emergency support type of activities that that we would like to be a part of with our own repeater. And the AirLink folks have been wonderful, letting us use their machine for our nets and as needed. They also gave us backup for the gravel race, but this is going to be great for the club. The functional diagram here, the rack, which was provided by you folks, which is wonderful, where the equipment's going to go there. And I'll show you some pictures and videos here, how we're doing on that. There is an existing tower with lightning protection and the antenna, the twin dipole UHF array we're going to put up there. We're all funded by club donations. The repeater itself was assembled and tested by Doug. And we've done a lot of groundwork to get this set up. Folks in the club have donated tremendous time and getting the approval of CU and the MRS to let us use this space has been nothing short of a huge gargantuan effort of paperwork and negotiation and getting everything approved. Site coverage we did last year. We got the repeater pair March of last year. The repeater was operational June, so just over a year. The final agreement we got signed in March of this year, and then things started really rolling and we needed to get going because the weather's going to be closing in fairly soon. The electrical assessment we did in May. We did a site walk down with the MRS folks in June. The big effort to pour the slab was done on July 24th. We waited a week, put the cabinet on, and here's what we're trying to get done before the snow starts flying, get the repeater basically up, the antenna on the tower, and start using it. So those are the things coming up. So here's a few photos of the site. It's not terrible to get to until you get to about the last 100 feet. There's kind of a path up from the road, and it's a pretty rough road up from the Mountain Research Station. And you can see the tower here. Here's the MRS equipment that we're going to be, we are tying into. And this was the day that Dana was doing the electrical assessment for us. The real hardcore
With
work.
that picture right there, I would think the snow would cover the whole thing. How's that going to work?
It's not, it won't cover the whole thing, but it'll definitely get up in some of the cabinet. So there's actually on some of that area on the lower section, there are louvers that we're going to have to close off. But we don't expect it to cover the whole thing, but it'll definitely cover a lot of it. Okay. 4 feet or more, I'm sure.
That's exciting. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So here we are with our convoy of bringing everything up. We brought the cabinet up that day. Cabinet weighed about 250 pounds. We devised a kind of cradle situation, 2 pipes, a couple of straps, laid it on there and carried it up the path, which was quite challenging. And here we are doing that. And the hardest part of that was not the weight of the repeater. It was getting around the trees, not falling on the rocks and all that sort of thing. So here we are delivering the cabinet, and now we're getting the form ready. And, if you're doing this at your house, no big deal. But when you're doing it up at 10,000 feet with nothing, it was quite an effort. And we really appreciated Jesse, who's our club treasurer, did a lot of the prep work, made up. And I don't think you guys can see it here, but he did a great job with this rebar lattice. And then we had the 4 bolts incorporated into that. So we just laid that in there, poured the concrete in, and then the bolts were sticking up. And what happened here? Okay. Can you still see that?
Yep.
Okay. So we're getting ready here. We had 12 bags and we used them all. And now we're going, and we just did the old mix it up. We had to be very careful up there at the MRS because they wanted us to leave no traces and not damage anything. They didn't want to know we were there. So we put plastic down, mixed it up, put it in the buckets, and carried it up. And that was, I think we did 4 loads. I can't remember exactly, of mix. And now we're dumping it in there, and there you can see the bolts sticking out. So that worked out really well. Here's the cabinet that we're going to tie into. And then Jesse did his magic of smoothing that all out. You can see Matt. Here's Rick, KK0COP, and Dan, W0DMA, and getting, and that was the 12 bags, and look at that, just perfect. Took a break, had a sit down, and we thought we'd let that cure up just a little bit. Jesse came back and carved the club call into the mix there and finished it up with a nice border around that. So I have another video. Now I'm gonna stop share here. I'm gonna probably fast forward through some of this because I think it's about 9 minutes, and that's probably longer than you guys care to see. So let me get that going.
Did he post this on his website, Scott?
Ramon?
Yeah.
I am not sure if he did.
I'll check with him.
Let me see here. I don't know for sure.
He
I
usually
watched,
does.
I watched it this afternoon. I thought it was coming off the LARC website.
Okay.
Well, he might post it out there too. Knowing Ramon, anything's possible. He's got access to do whatever
Yeah.
he wants to do.
So let me just show some of this. I'm not going to show all of it. Nice highlight of his drive up. So I might fast forward a little bit. So here we are. Are you guys able to hear me during this?
Yes.
Okay, so here he is coming up. This is the Mountain Research Station facility. We had a lot of cars. We really could only
We're at the Mountain Research Station.
we could only take about 2 vehicles up the
and we
road
are
there.
Gated.
And it's a really cool facility. It's open.
road.
It's open to the public. You can do hikes up there. You can take your dog up there. There are some areas that are closed off. And here we are heading up. And it was pretty rough drive going up there. Charlie here, and then this is my truck. They have a
solar
weather station up
panels and
here.
Instruments, more instruments. Appropriate vehicle. We'll be walking.
So the road isn't bad. This is the walk up to the site through the trees, and you can see the tower up here. That's about how far, and how we carried our buckets up and everything. So by this time, everything had cured. We were able to, there's the tower, knock the forms off. Here's the cabinet, really nice cabinet. And you can see down here the louvers we're gonna have to cover up for the snow. We're gonna go up about 20 feet on the tower. You don't need to know about the discussion about the washers here. And so we used some straps to lift it, put it on the slab, silicone to seal it down. And there was a lockbox on there. We took that off. We put our own lockbox on, so we're able. This is the part that we're gonna have to seal off.
If we want to close these up, right? Because
Who knows how long that's been in there? And here's the crew here.
And here it is. Beautiful.
Oh, that's probably good. All right, so that was, how we doing on time, Chuck?
Oh, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
I always seem to have to do this twice with this sharing on the presentation mode for some reason. Okay, so in theory, yeah, went really well. No, it did go really well, but planning it was quite the effort, and it just came off great. And now we are, here's again our crew cabinet install. You've seen that video. So last weekend, Dana went up, did some of the electrical work. There's still a little bit to do, but now you can see, oh, look at that. We have a conduit going over to the repeater cabinet. So that's getting very exciting. And then for the, as you saw in the other chart, we still have equipment to get up here, an antenna, but we're really hoping to get that done here before the winter starts to close in. Right now, we'll have the repeater itself up. These are the things that we are looking potentially to add. There is a internet access in the other cabinet that we have not tapped into yet, but some things to look at for the future. Right now, we just want to kind of get the repeater going, get our foot in the door. And we had talked about maybe doing this QSD article, and I think that might be once we get this thing going, might be a good article to do with you guys.
I'm a little puzzled by this picture.
Which one? This
I
one?
see all these shiny, stripy things up there as if they're guy wires, but they're not making a triangle. I'm confused.
Yeah. Well, there's power lines also up there that are probably, I don't know if that's perspective or what. There are guy wire, maybe it's just perspective, but there are guy wires coming down here, and I think they're coming down this way. It's heavily guyed. I don't know if we can see from one of the other pictures. Let me go back here. And there are power lines up there, but they're, I'm trying to see if there's another picture somewhere. That's the same picture. Well, it is heavily guided. Might just be the way the picture was taken there, but
I just wonder if it wasn't a triangle because of some big rocks that are in the way or something.
no, it's pretty much a triangle. It's they've got a lot of equipment up here. There's a little bit of, I don't know if you guys have seen these lightning terminals, look like a bottle brush. Some of those are up there, microwave lengths, and we're going to be probably, as I said, about 20 feet up where the anchor points are here for our antenna.
Very neat. Thanks.
Yeah, you bet. So summary, we're a pretty small club. I think we have a lot going on, really good community involvement with public works, with activities, and we really enjoy the partnership we have with the Longmont Club and Chuck and helping us along, and we're happy to help you guys along and love to see something similar anytime a Longmont person wants to tell us about what you folks are up to. So that's pretty much what I have, guys. Any questions or comments or anything?
I'm sorry to ask so many questions, but I'm fascinated by the helicopter in that last picture on the bottom right. What was that event?
I believe I pulled that off of the club website. I believe that was from the 2013 floods.
Mhm.
Does that sound right, Chuck?
Yeah, I believe it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, and that was a Chinook helicopter. I'm not sure where it was, but I think that was on our website. And we do have, if you probably, I think if you Google IPRC or Indian Peaks Radio Club, we do have a website that you can look at.
So
Thanks, Scott. That was a fun presentation.
Yeah.
Well, happy to give it.
Are you working with Armham to get connected to their backbone at some point, maybe as well, or?
That's an option. Definitely, we've talked about some of those links, and we would definitely consider that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know Doug was very instrumental in working with me, and we had that spare cabinet laying around. He goes, I know exactly where this can go, and that's what started the whole relationship. Was Doug Sharp saying, "Hey, I got a home for that cabinet. If you want to get rid of it," I'm like, take it.
That is a fantastic cabinet. It's so solid and it's just beautiful. So we are so happy to have it up there and bolted down and to be the repeater home.
Yeah, I think I even told Ramon, I said, if he's up there, being even at 10,000 feet, it's very possible down here we may be able to reach your repeater as well. I told him to let me know. We'll give it a try as long as I get my antennas back up high enough to to reach it. I had to bring them down a little bit, but my neighbors were complaining a little bit, so.
Well, we would love to have testing, and when we are operational, I'll definitely send out or Charlie or somebody will send out a note, and we'll see. Really curious who can hit it from your location down there.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd be curious to see. And I did send Charlie an email about inviting you guys to a fox hunt, but unfortunately it's the same day as the Ned.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so there's a lot of events going on that day because there's also one up in Fort Collins doing an event as well. But we'll definitely keep you in mind for other events, and I keep sending Charlie emails, and you guys, I have all your stuff for I think this year as posted on our calendar already. So hopefully we get some volunteers from down here. I know Ramon's been very big in helping out and taking pictures. He just loves doing that kind of stuff. So I would have made it on July 9th, but unfortunately, one, I had my back issue, and two, it was my birthday. So I tried not to work my birthday.
You were there in spirit, and we know,
Yeah.
and we're super happy. We put the W0 NED stickers on the cabinet and everything.
Good. And I also know I donated a Raspberry Pi to the club with
Right.
Cam 40CK's build a pie on it. So hope you guys get an opportunity to play with that as well. And to me, helping out a small club just means a lot. It just I see so many clubs that are just so do their own thing and their own mindset, and they just kind of their own little silo. And that's when I got on as club president, I said we can't be siloed. We got to go help other clubs, make friends with other clubs, start strategic partnerships. Just basically we need to be active because we can help each other out. Because we have talent you may not have, and you have talent we may not have. So it's just going to be a win-win for everybody.
Yep, totally agree. And thank you very much. And I'm happy to have given you this talk tonight.
Yeah, well,
That was
thank
a
you.
substantial cabinet. What's the history behind that, Chuck?
To be honest, I
Where'd it
really
come
don't know.
from?
It was sitting in our storage shed for I don't know how long.
So it just goes back in history.
Yeah, I don't know if Mark Skelton picked up that cabinet from somewhere or somebody else did, but it was in the shed for quite a while, and then like I said, Doug Sharp was there with me one day in the storage shed with Mark and said, "Hey, you guys want to get rid of that cabinet? I know a home for it." I'm like, "Sure, go for it." So
Worked out very well. Nicely done.
yeah. And Doug is kind of our liaison when it comes to RM Ham and doing stuff. So he's a great guy to know as well. And actually, if you guys get your repeater up and maybe not this year, but next year, and you guys get Echolink, you get your repeater up and we can interlink, we'll have your repeater get on the air with us for Sent on the Air that I do every year as well. This year, I'm going to try to link in with Northern Colorado, and we're going to cover most of Northern Colorado. And I think there's one repeater we're going to try to maybe hit down and link up down near Denver and try to expand our horizons and get more repeaters. But I have a Santa Claus here in Longmont that does a great job over Echolink, and I'd love to get more sites to be able to talk to Santa Claus on the air. So
I can tell you a little bit about the cabinet.
oh, go ahead, Doug, please.
Yeah, the city of Longmont had it over at one of the parks in Old Town Longmont, and they wanted the cabinet out of there. So I went over with Ron Schwartz and a couple other guys, and we, removed it and hauled it away.
And that went to a good home.
Yep.
Nicely done.
Yeah, I heard
As
you guys
former
had
quartermaster, I applauded the removal of that from storage.
yes. Doug liked to. Now if we can just get rid of that other cabinet.
Hey, Scott, this is Steve. I'm a publicity chair for LARC. Chuck and I have been working on trying to figure out an article through ARRL about club column. I don't know if you've seen that. A couple of months ago, they were advertising some clubs that were wanting to get some information out. So Chuck and I had talked about setting some stuff up. So you and I and Charlie probably have to get together and try to figure out how we're going to put a column together, do a presentation in one of the ARRL letters, there was some forms and stuff to fill out to get things going. And then if we're lucky, they'll choose us, and then we can get some notoriety through ARRL.
Yeah, we talked about, I did see that when they announced that, and we talked about even doing an article about the repeater, but I think maybe if, as you said, if we do something with both clubs, it might be more attractive to ARRL and maybe give us a better chance. So we'll have to talk about that for sure.
Sure.
And
You can
just-
find my email on W0ENO. Scott, go ahead and send me an email, and let's stay in touch and try to figure out, how we're going to do this.
Okay, W0 Echo November Oscar.
Yep.
Okay.
.org. That's the LARC website,
Okay.
and you'll find me under publicity chair.
Okay.
Chuck, you got a question?
No, I was just gonna say I don't know how many of you guys knew Steve Jackson from the president of the Weld Amateur Radio Society, but he passed away yesterday.
Yeah, I brought that up earlier.
Okay, yeah, I must be. I was a little late because I had to swing by the airport.
You're good. Yeah, it was a sudden death, unfortunately. So that club's going to be. I've already talked to their vice chair, and we're going to try to help them out with their. And Scott also did this information as well. If you have anybody that wants to come down to Weld County in October, they're doing I guess it's actually Jamboree on the Air for the Scouts, and they've got a huge turkey farm over here in LaSalle, Colorado, Weld County. They're going to have camping, everything else, and they're looking for some hams to help out with that event as well. So I'll send that to Charlie and see if anybody's interested, wants to come down for the day and maybe help out the Scouts. They would appreciate the help as well.
Sounds good. I've been involved with that with some other clubs, and it's really, really fun to get the guys on the air, kids on the air.
Well, that's the demographics that we're missing. So is get those young kids back on the air, and that's something I've been working on. Unfortunately, the school district is blowing me off right now, but hopefully they'll get a hold of me at some point. But yeah, again, thank you for presenting. I mean, it was a great presentation. I'll let send a copy to Charlie as well. Also, like I said, if any of your club members, I know I've also talked to ARL, and I know being a smaller club, it's hard to get an ARL membership or affiliation. So I'm trying to work with them to see if we can piggyback off of us and things like that. So I'm trying to talk to them and see how we can maybe make that happen as well. Because I guess they're starting a mentor program as well. I got to get a hold of our Rocky Mountain division. I got to get a hold of Mr. Ryan and get to talk to him and see how we can maybe get you guys to see if we can, sponsor you or something like that to get you a affiliation so you get more members and things like that as well. So. You okay there, Jerry?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, not a problem. Just want to make sure you're okay. I don't need you choking on us on a call. That would be bad.
Yeah, I thought I was on mute.
No, you aren't. That's why I had to ask whether you're okay or not. Does anybody else have any questions for Scott? Well, I don't see anything. I don't have any questions or things. So Scott, again, thank you very much for the presentation. I'll get a copy over to Charlie here in a little bit. And we'll also have it on our website, hopefully, or our YouTube channel before too long as well. So, you can let your group know and, and let the club know they're welcome to join our meetings anytime. If they're not getting emails from us or Charlie's not passing them on, contact me. We'll get them on our email list. Because I've got some estate sales, or I got at least one estate sale right now going on. I'll send up to you guys as well if you're interested in purchasing equipment. And we might have some more down the road because we've already been approached by a couple of folks that were actually in somebody's will to donate their equipment. So we never know when we're going to get more equipment as well. So, but yeah, I'll have to send you a picture of this gentleman's ham shack. It was pretty impressive. It was beautifully set up, totally off the grid because he was using solar and batteries, and everything had Anderson power poles with rig runners. So there was, I think he had one power supply. Is all I saw there. So pretty neat setup, and I'm sure he had low noise because of that as well. But of course, being in the city of Longmont and probably grandfathered in, you know, his antennas were super high. I think he had one vertical was 8 feet tall, 7 feet tall. I think the one I picked up, Don.
Yeah.
It's about 8 feet.
Yeah, about that.
So, but other than that, yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for attending this evening. Appreciate it. Hope everybody learned a little bit new, something new about Indian Peaks. And if you ever get a chance, take a ride up there. And I was up there for the Frozen Dead Guy event on that Friday night. It was actually really interesting. And they've got a cool clubhouse there. I'm kind of jealous, actually. A small club with a clubhouse. We don't have a stationary site per se where we can store equipment and all that. So that's why we have a storage shed in my extra closet here that's got all of our radio equipment in it right now. So one day, hopefully, we'll get our own little clubhouse somewhere. But again, thank you very much. If anybody's got any questions or comments, you know how to reach me. And I usually get back to people right away as well.
Thanks a lot, Scott. That was a great presentation.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Chuck.
Good
Thank
job.
you.
good
Everybody have a
job.
good evening. Don, if you could hang on a second, I appreciate it.
This Don?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You're the only Don on. The other Don didn't make it on.
Oh,
Good
okay.
job, Scott. Thank you. Is that the back, Chuck?
Yeah. I go for a surgical consult on Wednesday, so. Then hopefully it's how fast they can get it done. So I can start healing up and doing other things.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, right now I've got one of those electrode TED machines attached to my back and using it to help relax a little bit.
They doing a laminectomy?
I don't know what they're gonna do. I gotta talk to them.
Do you
So I
know
guess
how
you
much,
didn't-
do you know how bad the rupture is? Did he tell you?
There's very little space between the two vertebrae. I saw the picture. So. Because a shot definitely has not helped. I have still been in pain. It's been over 2 weeks. So
Well, if the disc is collapsed, then the two vertebrae are rubbing up against there.
and they're not quite there yet, but they're pretty close from the MRI shows. So
So typically they separate them and they put a screw plate in there. And then they call that a fusion. So just ask your doctor about that.
yeah, I just want to stop pinching on the nerve, and or every time I walk, my legs either got a sharp pain going down or it feels like it's falling asleep. One of the two.
Yep.
So I guess you didn't. I guess you didn't need any help unloading your car.
I got it. I appreciate the help. It was I even went through the stuff too, believe it or not.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I said I even had a chance to go through some of the stuff, so
Ah,
that's why there's a spreadsheet out there already. Welcome, Chuck. We'll see how many more people join. We'll give another minute or two, and then hoping more people would join. But it is August. I don't know. People are enjoying the weather before it rains again, or what's going to happen. So that or they'll get on and go, oh crap, I forgot some meeting tonight.
well, my wife did remind me.
My wife's sitting watching TV, so she knows Wednesday, third Wednesday. First Wednesday, third Wednesday, I'm on a Zoom call, so hopefully we'll do more Zoom calls too, because I'm trying to get Kat and Brian doing some training, so
That'd be good.
get our training session back in again.
Chuck, I had a blue screen of death.
Oh, I see that all the time.
So it was a corrupted disc and it had, they didn't have to re-image that I know of, but he cleaned up and did something. And I don't know how old it's a Dell. I don't know how old it is, but
Mhm.
you know, I haven't seen that since the days of Pentium ones.
Oh, I see them like every other day, but that's because people do crazy stuff to the machines and especially at work, you know, hey, we have standard software and they go out and say, oh, let's go throw something else on it. It's
Oh,
not, I don't, you know, software engineers, what can I say? All right, hopefully more people will join, although it's gonna be a very intimate meeting.